Hello, everyone. Welcome to DmJunkies, where we show you your newest addiction of Dungeons and Dragons. My name is Kawaii Ali, and on TikTok, Kawaii Hermes. And may my guest please introduce himself.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Donald the Cleric. You can find me at Donald. No, I'm kidding. Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is JaytheFay Official. You can find me on TikTok as JaytheFay Official for my main channel, or JaytheFay for my kind of mess around family channel. Well, thanks for having me on, Kawhi.
Yeah, no problem. It's really, really great to have you here. So
You don't have to lie. The audience knows. They've seen my content.
Well, oof. That's all I'm gonna say is oof. But anyways, how are you doing?
Well, I am doing just fantastic. You know, getting ready for finals week and whatnot. Just wrapped up my D&D session for the semester, so doing pretty good. How about yourself?
There you go. I'm doing pretty okay. I'm alive, and that's all that matters.
Hey, man, that's half the battle.
Woo! Well, anyways, you said that you were finished up your campaign and stuff. Do you want to brag about your world for a little bit?
Oh, yeah. So, little known fact, and by little known, I mean if you've never talked to me because I bring this up constantly, but I do a lot of world building and I DM all my games, and I have a few other DMs that work in this world as well called Azradoth, which is a culmination of a bunch of different books and a lot of homebrew. We actually have a server for it for anyone interested. And yeah, so every semester, because with college and whatnot and people graduating, we do a campaign within that world, and every one-shot, every campaign everyone else is doing directly infects everyone else's campaign as well. So, for example, if my party kills this certain shopkeeper that another party had like a trade deal with, like the mafia or something, that's going to also mess up their campaign. So if an NPC dies in one campaign, it carries over and dies in like 4 others. So it's a very interesting mechanic.
Yeah, that sounds pretty damn cool.
Yeah, it's very fun unless you're the DMs that have to deal with the constantly changing atmosphere. But
oof, yeah, especially since they have to prep a lot. And speaking of that, our topic today is preparation. Too much, too little, the whole shebang. That's what I say.
There you go.
So I guess, how long have you been DMing?
Well, I would say I only got good at DMing probably about a week ago, but I've been DMing for my friends and for others probably since 8. So, oh man, it's 8 minus 20. That's a lot of math. I'm a legal studies major. I don't know what that is.
12.
But yeah, 12 years.
There you go. Well, that's pretty cool. I haven't DM'd as long as that, but I like learning, so that's why we do this show.
It doesn't take a lot of time to be a good DM, in my opinion. As long as you're willing to sit down and maybe read the books once or twice and understand that it's not always just about you versus the characters. It's also about the characters having fun. Then, it's not that hard to be a good DM. You don't even need to know most of the mechanics. You can homebrew everything if you need to.
AKA me, first time I ever did it. But anyways, my first question for you, I just have a couple questions about our topic, is what is your definition of preparation? Is it possible for a DM to even over-prep their notes or whatever you want to call it? I call them notes.
Yeah, I refer to them the same way, notes. When it comes to preparation, I think there's kind of 2 types of preparation that not everyone kind of realizes that Dungeon Masters have to do. There's the sense of like, oh, I got to figure out what characters I need, NPCs, maybe minis if I'm doing that, character voices, stuff like that, storyline. Then there's also preparation for your party and for the characters the parties have created. It's one thing to say, oh, I have this story, we're running this campaign in Ghost of Saltmarsh, here's what we're doing. And another thing to go above and beyond and be like, all right, I'm going to take this character's backstory and I'm going to try to weave it into like where one of the essential NPCs is maybe like a family member or like a long friend or something like that. So in the term of that kind of preparedness, working with your characters, I don't think there ever is such a thing as too prepared. I think the more you can integrate them and their stories into the storyline itself and kind of make them feel like they're a part of it and not just some random character that's running through a maze is really good. In the terms of preparation and sort of like, reading the books and maps and stuff like that, as long as you don't get to the point where you're railroading and you're willing to accept, hey, I might put all of this effort in, but the party might do something that's going to completely change and destroy all of my preparation. As long as you're willing to accept that, I don't think there is a way to over-prepare. But if it gets to the point where you're railroading your characters and saying, I prepared this, you have to go do this, or we're ending the campaign, then I'd say that's a little over-prepared.
Okay. Well, going on to the whole entire prepare thing, like you said, like there isn't really much like over prepared. Is that what I'm getting from you? Is that you don't
Yeah.
need to? Okay. Oof. So what I've seen, and I'm gonna put a mirror in front of my face for this, I've seen a lot of DMs do a lot of railroading because they don't really know what is a good balance for improving in a way and trying to weave, like you said earlier, weave like the character's backstory in or tying it in so that it makes them feel like they're like a part of the world and not part of like, let's just say, a movie in a way.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
like, oh, go ahead.
you're good. You're good. I guess it's just like out of experience and stuff. Like, what's a good balancing between improv and I guess preparation?
I think it just depends on the style of D&D you're going to go for, and just being honest with your party. If you're one of those DMs who's not very good at thinking up things on the spot, and you're not very good with character voices, that doesn't mean you can't be a good DM. You just need to be straightforward with your party and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to run Ghost of Saltmarsh because I'm not great at coming up with stuff on the spot, so I apologize. Or be like, hey, we're going to do this kind of dungeon style, so less RP, more mechanics. Or on the other side of that, if you want to be like, hey guys, we're ditching half of the book. Here's my own mechanics. I want this to be heavily, heavily RP based. That's something you just need to talk with your party and make sure they're comfortable doing, and that you are apparent with them that that is your limitations as a DM. Because there's no problem with being limited and being sort of new to the game of D&D or new to roleplay in general, as long as you're honest with it and you're not trying to overcompensate to the point where it's just obvious you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, and you also don't want to fall under the Matt Mercer effect.
Yeah,
So
that's a.
I
I
feel like a
love
lot of
Critical Role,
DMs go
but
through that,
yeah, yeah,
which is really sad because yeah.
and I mean nothing against Critical Role and nothing against people. I mean personally, I'm also of that style where I'm really, really into role play, but I do believe it gives like unrealistic expectations where people are like, oh, why is my DM not doing this? Not realizing that Matt Mercer is paid for like 72 hours a week to prepare a single session. So,
Yeah. Oof, and they're really good at voice acting.
yeah, oh man,
But
the
again,
voice
it's
actors are
their
good at voice
job.
acting. Yeah.
But anyways, for any of you viewers that are watching and stuff, I want to just make sure you guys know 100% that if you have not subscribed to this channel, please hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you can get updates on Adventures in Initiative, one-shots, DmJunkies, or anything that may happen in the future.
And just to piggyback onto that, I would very, very much suggest listening to the earlier podcasts with Donald the Cleric and Shop Goblin. Very good DMs, very good people. And watching maybe some of the Adventures of Initiates. I personally have guessed it on there. My NPC got absolutely destroyed by the party, unfortunately, but it was a fun time all around, and it's
Now I
definitely.
gotta think of what you were. Like,
I was Bones Jones, the blood
that's
hunter,
who you were.
and I got stun locked and just absolutely destroyed.
Oof.
Yeah.
It's fun playing NPCs. I personally have a lot of fun playing NPCs.
I think it's just fun to be evil, in my opinion.
Yeah, that too. That too. So going on the whole entire going back on track and stuff, not the railroad track, but on track. Going from bleh, I'm gonna cut that out.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, going from preparation to not enough preparation. What's your thoughts on having not enough preparation and in a way kind of not knowing what you're doing, but you're like, I'll just improv. I got an hour before session 0 hits.
There are a lot of DMs I know who are that way. I personally sometimes go along that track when it's been a long week. If you're going to do the style of a lot of improv, it really helps to do like world building or being familiar with where you are and knowing NPCs. Something I would suggest if you are going to go kind of the lazy DM route, have a list of character names, of NPC names just on your DM screen. Have like important locations, maybe just quick notes and stuff. It's fine to improv, but it's not fine to think, oh, in the moment I'm going to be able to come up with everything, because then you're going to talk around yourself. You're going to create plot holes. You're just in general going to make it obvious that you haven't prepared. So in terms of being underprepared, if you can't fluidly go through a session and at the end of it think to yourself, okay, that had like a decent story to it, we accomplished something, then you're underprepared. However, if you're really, really good at improv and you don't feel the need to prep and you can make it work, then more power to you.
Yeah, that is a gift that sadly I do not have.
Yeah, me either.
Oof. But yeah, I personally enjoy sitting down and doing a lot of world building. And what I like to do is like after session 0. So like this is like after I've already had my panic attack of, is this going to be good enough for the party? And the party's like, yeah, this is great. Let's keep doing it. It's a nice day off type of thing for us. It's like, I just personally like world building afterwards. I get to know how the players go through and stuff. So my question for you is, what's your favorite part about world building when it comes to characters or building in like backstories, or kind of like Dono, do you like try to do arcs for characters? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
My favorite part of world building is probably the social aspect of it. So I recognize I've gotten really, really lucky as a DM of having so many like-minded people who are into D&D, things like TikTok, and I was back clear on when it was like Musical.ly and part of Vine and whatnot, and just knowing DMs who are willing to sit down and say, we're going to dedicate time to building this world and working together. So I really like sitting down. Like, for example, a couple months ago, I sat down with Wendy and we spent just an hour BSing about making like random spells and stuff like that for homebrew. Or when I sit down, I have a friend of mine, Zen, we'll sit, Zen, Anson, and I will paint miniatures and we'll just be like, okay, here's my character's backstory for the coming campaign we're going to run. I was wondering if maybe you could work in this sort of thing with my patron. So just a social aspect of it. A lot of people get in the mindset of, I'm a DM, I have to keep everything secretive, like I have to be this cloaked figure above everything. But sitting down with your players and just being open with them about where you want the campaign to go, letting them talk to you and kind of influence it is really, really fun in my opinion. For an example of that, this Friday we ended up finishing our campaign for the semester, and one of our players, Anson, used his power he'd gotten from his patron and kind of tricked the rest of the party into helping him combine Shadowfell, the Feywild, and Azradoth, which is like our normal world, into one. And because of that, we had to sit down and say, all right, Anson, you are now a god. I'm going to let you reshape this world and kind of influence it, I mean, within reason. So Anson and I sat down for a good 8-hour period and kind of fleshed out our next campaign's world.
There you go. That's pretty cool. Like,
yeah,
combining the world and stuff. I would so be too scared to do that. I don't know. I'm one of those people that are like, let's have it be in this world. And then, have you seen Bandersnatch on Netflix?
I have not.
Okay. Have you ever played a choose your own story game?
I have. I love those Telltale and whatnot.
Okay, so my thought process when it comes to planning sessions or even world building that way is like, you have this scenario that goes on. Players can go here, 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 or have it be thrown for a loop. I call it the DM's loop because my players like trying to break me. Shout out to my players. I love them all, but also F you all.
Yeah.
So it's like, what if this happens? And I'll like throw it in the loop like, oh, I can tie it to here, or I can go here. And if that happens, this can go here. I really hate not having, I don't know what the word is or how to express it. I guess I don't like it having side plots where it's like, oh, why is there a plot hole here?
So you don't want to play Skyrim. You want to play like Batman the Telltale series.
Basically.
Gotcha.
In a way, but also have it be like, hey, they were picking potatoes and stuff in the field, trying to throw me off, being like, oh, I don't want to do the main adventure. Well, guess what? Plot twist. You found out that those potatoes were poisoning this person.
Yeah.
Get dunked on.
That's what I really, really like about world building is I can leave little notes for myself if the party does decide to get sidetracked. Like for every time I make a shop, I will also make an NPC of that shop who is like, if you talk to them or you do some event that triggers this, it's going to give you the option. So, for example, if they go to Sketchy Sam's and they talk to this specific goblin, he's going to ask them to go steal this vase. Or if they go to Lucinda's and they accept her free spa offer, they woke up on a boat where they were surrounded by dead bodies and the police were coming. Just like, random stuff like that. Little things that don't take too long from the story for them to fix, but give them kind of a sense of, oh, we do have some sort of control.
Yeah, because I think it's kind of like, I'm going to just throw off on video games and stuff because I like, again, I'm a nerd, so gonna just throw it. I kind of think of like Pokemon Sword and Shield in a way. or heck, I'll even throw Breath of the Wild into the mix, where you are able to go and you're able to do whatever you want in the world. You still have the story, you still have everything, but you still have boundaries within that. And I feel like a lot of the time, sometimes DMs have to learn how to say no and kind of put those boundaries in, whether that be before campaigns even starts, or even like, hey, you just can't do that because of X, Y, and Z.
And I'm the other mindset. I will allow them to do it. However, I'm not going to lower the power level of something, or I'm not going to change the difficulty just so they can attempt to do it. If they're
Well,
like, we
yeah,
want to go fight this dragon level 1, I'm
it's like,
going to
okay,
explain to
go
them,
and
like,
do it,
yeah,
but you're
yeah, you're
most
going to
likely going to
die.
get toasted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
don't be
think we're
afraid to
both
kill
in.
characters. If you absolutely need to, and they're getting to the point where they're just trying to meme on you, sometimes characters gotta die, and that's just a part of
Mm-hmm.
D&D.
And sometimes they need to have that too.
Yeah,
Like, oh, this is real. This isn't like, oh, I'm gonna just set mods everywhere. I'm just gonna be like, hey, you get a cookie and you're gonna die. Hey, you're gonna do this and you're gonna die. Like, I'm gonna use murder hobos as an example of that. I cannot stand murder hobos, but what I've personally learned is that their actions must have a consequence, no matter what. So with the topic that you chose, with level 1 dragon fighting, they went to go kill a dragon. They got killed by the dragon.
yeah.
So
I've gotten my characters just a little bit fearful. So what I've been doing is some of my NPCs, especially with the world we're in, I've made them demigods. So it's gotten to the point where they're afraid to just randomly kill things for no reason, just for the fear of last time they did that, one of their characters just got killed.
mhm.
Yeah,
It's like the butterfly effect.
yeah.
That's kind of
Don't.
like what I see with it.
Yeah.
Oof. Well, I guess, do you have any questions for me or anything?
Actually, I do have a question for you. I'm glad you brought this up. So, in the term of preparedness, I know you were talking about how you personally are really into the preparation and maybe not world building, but the creating of a story yourself. Do you find it easier to sit down in your room, listen to music, and do it yourself, or are you one of those people who, throughout like your day or your classes, you'll have a notebook on you and you'll be like, "Oh, that's a good idea," and you jot that down and just kind of do it passively?
I'm gonna just slightly throw you for a loop. I'm kind of those two combined, but also I will go into Goodwill for an hour and like make magic items or be like, hey, this would be something really cool that like a player could find, yada yada. And
Oh,
I'll
do you
play.
physically give them props to represent magic items?
Sometimes I do. Like
That's cool.
my friend and I, his name's Felix. We both will hang out all
Wow,
the
you're
time. He's
friends
like,
with PewDiePie? That's amazing. Tell me,
no,
what's that like?
I don't know. They never talk. But we'll go to Goodwill and just like walk around our Salvation Army, and we found these 4 chalices, and I was like, huh, how would you feel if like a party went into like a witch's hut and they needed to like gather ingredients to find like a dimension door or open a dimension door, and turns out that all 4 of those chalices were like the right ingredients, but each one had a different like outcome to it. So if you drink one, this happened to you. If you drink another, this happened to you.
Interesting. I
And
like that.
we will literally just like walk around with like, or sometimes even buy like chalices, and it'll be like, hey, these would be good for a future game, or good props for if we want to use it for like standing up. I am one of those DMs that are like, DM on a budget, let's go.
And that's the great thing about D&D is, I mean, you can put 20 numbers on pieces of paper and put them in a hat and play D&D for no money. It's pretty great.
Yeah. Or just like cardboard, or even like what I've done one time is like we play D&D outside. I did it with like a small group, very small group. But instead of doing like the whole entire like, oh, let's bring a whiteboard out, let's do it by inch, we just were like, here's the circle, fight.
Something interesting you can try. I don't know if you have access to a hot tub, but what we've done sometimes over breaks is we'll take Tupperware so that it'll float in the hot tub, and then we'll just play D&D in there so we can roll our dice into the Tupperware.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, takes
I
a
have
little
a
bit of.
pool.
Yeah, you can do it in a pool too. It takes a little bit of preparation because I mean you got to like laminate character sheets, or you got to have it in some way where it's not going to get wet. But it's definitely fun.
That's really cool. That's like good party thing to do if you want to just like have like a summer party or something, or I don't know, winter if you're into hot tubs outside.
There you go.
There you go. Well, I learned something new today, and I hope everyone else learned something new too, or at least you learned something new. It was great having you on this show.
Well, it was great being here. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and thank you for the invitation.
No problem. So, anyways, for all of you guys, we're going to get started on closing. This has been DmJunkies. If you enjoyed our conversation and dumb fuckery, then you can leave a like, comment down below if what's the best thing that you've ever improved if you've been are a DM, or what's your favorite character, and what is the weirdest thing that you have ever done in your party. And yeah, so Jay, I'm going to give it to you. Where can people find you?
Well, I'm gonna give you my exact location, somewhere in Nebraska. But you can find me on TikTok, Instagram. I have YouTube, but I don't post anything to it. At JaytheFay official. You can also find me on Discord if you add me. Man, I never know how Discord ad works. JaytheFay official #2176. If you have any interest in joining any of our Discords or just getting to know me and playing some D&D with me. And I just want to give a huge shout out to you and Dono for kind of getting this started and giving us a place to nerd out and talk for a bit. And everyone who wants to, also make sure you go follow Kawaii or a Mess. Definitely make some good content. So.
Yeah, and where you can find me is you can find me on YouTube as Kawaii Alley. I'm going to be starting up on my Wattpad, so you can find me as Non-Binary Fantasy in the future. If I hit 2K on TikTok with Kawaii or a Mess, which all underscores for spaces, once I hit 2K, I will be opening my Redbubble up and promoting more nerdy things on that shop, hopefully. Fingers crossed. If not, then I'm probably moving to Etsy or something like that, and I'll keep people posted on that. But yeah, anyways, this has been DmJunkies, and don't forget to roll out.